Hey guys! So today you and I are going to talk about how to become an architect, or specifically how I became one. So let's get into it. So the question in question was literally that. Frederick, how is it that you became an architect, or how did you become one? Well, it depends on what you mean by an architect, because it's a little bit of a loose term sometimes, and I know I'm not going to annoy you with definitions and try to be all semantic about the whole thing. I'm just saying that when someone talks about being an architect, for me it's similar to when someone asks me, what type of software developer are you, or you're a senior, a mid-level, a junior, etc., etc. It always comes down to what specifically does that mean, and we always get down to it just means some abstract thing, and the thing that's going to give you the clues as to how good someone is, or like what they're actually doing, is what skills, like the tasks, are you usually doing. Because an architect can be someone who is like just never does any coding or anything like that, and it can be somebody who's literally sitting next to you coding right alongside you. It's just they have to have more opinions than you do on what the technical roadmap is going to be for the company. That's the person I am. So let me explain it. So I did at my last job, I'm not sure exactly when you're going to watch this, but the last time I was an architect, it was also my first time, because I got promoted to an architect after about 6 months, 9 months, something like that. I can't remember exactly. It wasn't all that long. I started in this big company who had where they had a need for a software developer. In this case, it was a front-end developer position, and then I had a friend who was hiring people for that company, and he reached out. We've been talking on and off for years, and then I did an interview with the current architect, one of the architects for the specific area, because the company is like gigantic. Like there's hundreds and hundreds of. I mean, if the IT department alone, there's hundreds of people, and the rest of the company is like thousands. And so he was responsible for one area, and so he did an interview with me. They seemed pleased, so they made me an offer to join what they call their platform team, which was the main reason why I wanted to join the company, because they had this pretty cool setup where my friend said to me, like, if you want to meet some really, really awesome software developers and work on something that is a little bit different, this is the place to go. And so I went there, and it turns out that the platform team was this sort of you can imagine that team as being a team that provides services towards other teams. In other words, you have tons and tons and tons of teams who do product development. This team doesn't do product development. It maintains the shared libraries, the monorepo, which everybody was using, maintains all of the setups and configurations and workflows and all of this sort of stuff, and basically sets the standards across how the teams are working and what tech they are using, basically, and provide a lot of support and stuff like that. And I thought that seemed pretty cool. So I joined after about 3 months. My manager contacts me and says that they basically started a new project that is very hyped right now, and everybody wants it to kind of kick off. They're kind of creating an internal platform for the internal systems at the company, and basically they needed somebody to take charge of that project. And so he said to me, yeah, could you do that? And I go, yeah, sure. I mean, this is a guy who I know, and he sort of knows my profile, and he knows that, I mean, I've been doing most things in IT now for quite a while, so there was no problem. Like he gave me the assignment, and basically it started out with me being pretty much the first person there, and then I ran everything. Like I set up front end, back end, ops, delivery, CI pipelines, visual regression testing, end-to-end test. We got a QA which did the end-to-end test. If he helped set up the thing, but that's honest to God more because that was his job. But my boss wanted me to do all the things, right? So I became this tech lead, I set up the entire team. We hired more people. I did all the interviews on behalf of that team and a few other teams and so forth. And then after about 4 months more, something like that, 6 months ish, we're into this thing. My manager comes and says that it's been going really well. You've been hearing also like positive feedback on the idea, and like they trust you, and like you proved yourself to to be someone that people want to be associated with, etc., etc. We're gonna promote you to what they call like a staff engineer, like this is where the architects are. Like there are many different types of these people, but that's basically what it becomes. And he said, I want you to become the equivalent, like for this department, I want you to be the internal systems architect for this platform we're trying to build, right? And that basically meant that it started out small because they only had 2 teams at the time. But the main thing was basically set up the we want to build. You basically just say they basically just said we want to build this gigantic internal system. It's gonna work for like tons and tons of teams, and it has to support all of these different legacy systems. We need you to learn all of the systems and like know all the people and basically make this into a reality. And I said, yeah, no worries. And then I started working, and so my architectural role, like the way I became an architect, was basically that way. I like sort of like just got promoted to that level, mostly because the well, that's at least what I was told. One part, of course, is that I have a genuine passion for what I do, but it's also the fact that I have a fairly wide range of skills. What is it they say? Jack of all trades, master of none type of thing, where if you want me to do the front end work and like be fairly productive and like I can lead a front end team. I can instruct front end developers. I can also lead a back end team. And I can do the ops work as well, because I've taken the time to learn most of the stack at the very least. I'm not like equally strong in absolutely everything, but I can do all the things, and that's what they needed. So they promoted me, and now I still do a lot of that stuff, but basically it comes down to managing these teams, setting up their technical roadmaps, and then helping them achieve the goals, like everything from migrating from legacy systems towards new systems, creating the stories that they need, etc., etc. And when I'm not doing any administrative work or anything like that, it's basically, here's my own personal backlog, because I do that thing as well, where there are initiatives that are difficult because there's only a few, there are seniors in the groups and so forth, but some of these projects are difficult to schedule on the product teams, so someone has to do it, and that usually is me. So I sit down and when I have some time over, I take on those projects, and of course I do all the meetings, as you can imagine, like all the synchronizations with all the different product teams and the other stakeholders within the company and so forth. But in essence, that's how I became an quote-unquote architect. So what I want you to take away from this is that the way that I became an architect was through just doing the job, like being present in the meetings and trying to provide, do a good job, come up with ideas, have the experience and seniority to basically meet the requirements of what they need from an architect within like a specific company. Like it's one part the personality and the soft skills, and one part technical skills. You have to know what you're doing and so forth, and then be present and engaged. I've done, like for the specific company, I've done hundreds of at least over 100 different interviews with different candidates, helped out with the recruitment processes, taking care of like these sort of like projects that they have for like I'm not saying hackathons, but guilds and stuff like that, where they have like discussions and forums and so forth. And you get some FaceTime with some people, and then when something comes along, or at least this case is how it was. I started as a software, just a regular old front-end developer, and then there came a project and they realized that I would probably be the best fit for that, and then now I'm running like my team, And then when like they realized that, hey, he's actually producing here, they made me into a software architect, because they had this desperate need for competence that was hands-on, as my manager was saying, because I had given him the feedback that a lot of the people that they were hiring at the time were, as I call them, talkers, which is like the classic architecture sort of deal. It's people who primarily spend their time setting up Confluence pages, or writing flowcharts and diagrams, and talking, just talk, planning endlessly planning things, and relying on other people to execute things, which I do, of course, as well. It's just that I can also execute, which is in some cases, that's what they need. They needed someone who could actually deliver stuff. It's not like I do everything myself. I have a lot of developers that I work with, but because I have this hands-on skills necessary to do basically everything that they are doing, they become an extension of the vision that I'm supposed to deliver, which is very powerful. I don't have to micromanage them. I have to coach and I have to teach and so forth, but I'm aware of how they're doing. I'm aware how everything goes. I know exactly what I need and what we need to produce, because I could do it myself. It's just that I get other people to help me as part of that, and then we teach and learn from each other. And if you have those sort of hands-on skills, like the technical background, at least that's what I've found. That's the thing that most companies actually want, because the planning and meetings and so forth, I can do that too. It's just that that's not the problem. Is that when you have people who can only do that, the other stuff suffers, because you need both in order to be truly effective and flexible in each of in the different scenarios that can come up. Have a great day.